Alright, what's up guys? This is our new segment, Time Wizard Tuesdays. If you haven't noticed, I like alliteration. Sue me. So we're going to be starting some old format matches and doing a series of it. We'll release videos every Tuesday. We are going to probably loosely follow the structure of the tournaments that we're doing up here in Minnesota. One of the local shops every other Thursday is doing a Time Wizard format. So this week they're doing 2011, and then next week they're doing 2 in a row. Next week is going to be 2012. So for today's episode of Time Wizard Tuesdays, we're going to have a couple matches in 2011. Feel free to flame me in the comments for how bad I'm playing. I make a few mistakes that are probably just pretty dumb, but it'll happen. We're still learning some of these old formats. We're excited to get better at them, and hopefully playing these matches for these video series will do that. But we're going to start off with me versus Caleb in a 2011 Plant Mirror. He won RPS. Unfortunate. Hate to see it. So this is not a match that I've played a lot, so I'm sure there's going to be stuff that I could have done a lot better. So we're going to take this as a learning experience, first and foremost. Let's see. So Caleb starts with Tour Ride into Sangan, sets Judgment, and passes. I'm going to do the same thing, Tour Ride into Sangan, but I'm going to crash my Sangan, so I get a search. I searched Max C here. I don't know if it's correct, but I did it. That means he knows that I have it, so he knows to play around it. So he's never going to be like 1 for 1-ing a Dandelion, but I don't know. I'm not sure if there's a proper time to dust shoot in this format. I typically just kind of shotgun it when I can have it, because eventually I think if you wait too long, they're going to cut down on resources at hand. Maybe. But I don't know. I had an out to the Thunder King. So I put the Dandy back. There's a little confusion here. And then, yeah, so I think it was probably about here where last turn I definitely should not have used a Scapegoat, but going forward I think I waited too long to use a Scapegoat. Here we just crash the Sangan so he doesn't get the search. We just didn't want to take damage, so we summoned the Tour Guide in defense, and then crashed the one that I summoned into the Sangan. He plays pretty conservatively. He holds the Caius here, which I think is probably correct. And now I just draw a warning and pass because it's not going to do him any good. And here's where I think I should have Scapegoated, because I'd already taken 19. I didn't want to get too low here, but I just wasn't really thinking about it, so I let it resolve. And now he hits the Max C because he knows the Gores is going to be dead for a while. So I monster in my hand, and I don't really have a good play. If I had Scapegoated, I could have like foolished the glow up bulb and then done formula to get another draw to try and either bait out the Thunder King or get a draw, but I didn't do that because I hadn't Scapegoated yet. And now, so now he's got 2 monsters, and I'm forced to Scapegoat here, and he hits 2 of them. And so that extra 19 is going to matter because now I have double warning. So that 19 that I took from the Thunder King, I could have Scapegoated and then had just basically essentially a free warning, and I didn't do that. So now I'm going to be really hurting. So I'm going to Dark Hole, and then I'm going to warning the Tengu, some of my own Thunder King, and try to make some pushes. And now he's been holding the Scapegoat for like the whole game, and now he's gonna set it finally. So my pushes are gonna be blocked because he's not gonna hold it. He's gonna flip it right away. So I have another warning set, but it's going to be rough because I'm at 2200. Now the next few turns is just me pushing over the scapegoat tokens because I have no other plays. Summoning the maxi is not a great idea because I'm pretty low. I guess with the enemy controller, I maybe could have summoned the maxi and been okay, but alright, we finally got through the scapegoat tokens. And he finally draws a play, so he's going to make his push here because he drew Monster Reborn for the Caius. So he's going to MST to try and hit a Judgment, and it worked. And then he's going to Heavy Storm, and then he's going to Reborn, and then he's going to Tribute over for Caius. Caius is going to banish my Thunder King, and then he's going to attack for game. I drew the Veiler one draw too late. Unfortunate. I needed the Veiler for the Caius to not die because that would have only been 2,000. No, it would have been 22. It would have been exact game otherwise because he attacks over the Thunder King with Caius for 500 and then 17 is game. So the Veiler didn't matter. Unfortunate. Kayla takes game one. I wish that I could see what I sided in this replay. If I recall correctly, I didn't side at all because I'm still unsure of what I'm supposed to be siding for the plant mirror. So I opted to go first. I think the correct play here is just Tour Guide the Sangan. Again, I set the Dust Shoot. And with the Sangan live, I do think it is definitely correct to do the Dust Shoot here. I was rewarded because he had a Thunder King, so I hit it. Which means my Sangan is probably getting a search. And then he's going to do the same thing I did last game, I believe. Yep, he's going to Tour Guide out his own Sangan to crash. Which means he'll get his Sangan search. He's going to opt to also search Max C. My Max C search wasn't as good as his because he didn't have any combo plays, whereas I have Debris Dragon. So once that comes live, or once I do the Tour Guide, I think he is going to Max C here. We just replaced it because we're not going to go into an Xyz. We're just going to crash my own Sangan and then do 2,000. I knew all of his hand except for the card he drew off Max C, so I wasn't super worried about Gores. And I also have enemy controller. Yeah, I have a few ways to get around Gores, so it didn't really matter too much to play into it since there was only one card that Gores could have been. I had the Judgment here, so I wasn't worried about Storm either. He has to set the Spirit Reaper and pass. And I drew Caius for turn, which is insane. He Veilers. I knew he had the Veiler. This will play around it by booking. Alright, put him halfway there. I feel like I'm doing pretty well. Yeah, I think here's where enemy controller, the Tengu, and I don't read Debris Dragon, so I like half try to Synchro, and I was like, wait, I can't do that. So we go to Utopia, which turns off his Tengu. Do 25. Alright, so I'm like feeling pretty good. Unfortunately, he draws Avarice for turn. So he Lone Fires, I Max C. He was only ever planning on summoning one because he just wanted to make his Avarice that he drew live. I decided to Judgment because if that resolves, I've got 4 cards to his 6. So he's +2 on me with a Dandy. That's going to give him live tokens for like Synchro plays next turn. So I opted to Judgment, so I was just 3 cards to his 4, so I was only -1. Drawing to even. And here we attack over the dandy because we don't want him to draw a tuner and then synchro with the dandy and then keep going. He misclicks. Caius, rip. I have the deep prison, which is amazing. But now, see, I'm in not a great spot, right? Like, I've got this MST. So I do have, like, an opportunity here to wait for him to commit a monster, declare an attack, MST his background attack deck, and then Gores, and hopefully be able to game him next turn. Unfortunately, for me, he draws, like, no monsters. So he foolishes Bulb just to do sync formula to draw to try and dig for plays, and he just doesn't get there. And then I draw dead and I have to pass. And then he draws no monster, so he has to pass. I draw foolish, which probably doesn't have a good play right now, so I have to pass. What did I do? Oh, I didn't pass. Interesting. Oh, yeah, I foolish the dandy so I can get 2 tokens. I can econ the formula. And I just made a push. Made a push for game to try and push through his back row, and that triggered the judgment. So now I'm in the same spot. I have the Gores and the MST. So if he draws a monster, I can make a push. And then he draws warning instead. I think his idea was he MST'd here because if this is a summonable monster, he didn't want this to be a judgment, right? So he wanted his warning to be live. No, his warning was dead. Never mind. I don't know why he MST'd there. Never mind. His warning was not live regardless. He was at 750 life points. Any monster wins the game, and I draw MST. What a time to be alive. Another card that is playable but not good. So he's just drawing exciting to not die, and I'm not drawing monsters to kill him. He's got 2 sets, so he's not at risk, so he's playing pretty passively. And now he tour guys. He finally draws a monster to poke for damage, and at this point, Agor's isn't good anymore. Because he's got Spore, so he can sink into plays to out it. It's unfortunate. I take the 5, I take the 4. I do MST the back row on this to take the 1,000, and then I do summon the Gores. Because I want to force him to do something here, right? Holding Gores might have been better, but I was starting to get low here, so like now I'm at 21. And like I felt like if I sat on Gores too long, it was going to be too late and I was just going to die. So he reborn my Caius and synced into Trish. And I think he gets the Heavy Storm, yeah. And then he overlays into Leviair to bring back Spirit Reaper, and it's not looking good for me. I don't remember what oh yeah, I 1 for 1 for a Bulb. Synchron to try and get a draw. I don't remember what I go for here. Oh yeah, I have Bulb and Guard, so I think I'm gonna Bulb first. And then, yeah, I remember. I go to Armory Arm. I wish Armory Arm did piercing, and then instead of like destroying by battle. That would have been cool. Yeah, I just go this to banish the Church, attack over the Leviair. So now we're at Spirit Reaper versus Orange Dragon. I have the warning. He says the Scapegoat. Passes. I have Spore. So now I can summon and go the Black Rose. I can target the Spirit Reaper, turn it to attack mode, which then destroys it. And then he tries the Scapegoat, but I have the warning and I'm 100 life points above, which allows me to do it. And then the Black Rose attacks for game, and we're in there. So we we were so I was super far ahead game 2. And then he came back, and then he was a little ahead, and I almost just lost it, and it wasn't looking good. But he just didn't draw away to game me in time, and I got there. So now he goes first. Game 3. Tengu warning pass. And so here's what I did. I MST'd that, put Spirit Reaper on the board to rip a card. I think this was a waste of a mind control, though. I think the best play was maybe set the Spirit Reaper. And then I dust shooted into no monsters, and that made me really sad. So if I set the Spirit Reaper, I can dust shoot the Max C. He attacks into the Reaper. It doesn't die. And then next turn, I can, like, mind control his Tengu. Or I could summon my own Tengu. We'll see if he warnings. And if he doesn't, I can mind control and overlay. But I didn't do that. I just wasted the mind control. I don't know why I lone fired there either. Maybe it was for synchro plays with the Veiler. I don't know that it was like I think holding the lone fire was probably just correct. I book it here because of my own Tengu to attack over it. And he had warning. And I knew he had the warning because I saw it with Dust Shoot. So I don't know that committing Tengu there was correct. I probably should have, like, summoned Spore to try and, like, do synchro plays to bait the warning or something. Or maybe I should have just done synchro plays here first. Because I think keeping the Tengu was more important than keeping whatever I'm synchro summoning here, right? Like, I summoned Brio just to clear the Tengu. And I think it would have been better if I do this to bait the warning and then summon the Tengu. Because then I'm keeping the Tengu. And with the Spore in hand for next turn, I think that's just better. Especially since I think I ripped his Max C, right? Like, I didn't know he drew another one at the time. I econ this because keeping Brio on the field is important. And then I draw Bulb, which is cool. And now here's where I think I make another mistake. I discard Spore instead of Bulb. Because then I have to normal the Bulb to sync for Black Rose anyway. I was trying to find a way to get to Armory Arm, and I just couldn't. Because Armory Arm would have been game here, I believe, right? Because it would have been 34 over plus 2,000. No, so it would have only been 54. So it wouldn't have been quite game. Oh. I'm not allowed to look at my extra deck. And here's where I start to die. I'm now top decking. I have a live glow up Bulb. But I don't know that that's going to be good enough. Yeah, so I draw a dead warning. And I lose. So Caleb takes this one. Unfortunate. It was revenge for me having just beaten him in GOATs for the Midwest Mondays podcast. But we're still learning 2011, so we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, this is going to be me versus Walter, 2011 again. So, I lose RPS again. What else is new? So I'm going second. I am not playing Plant Synchro this time. We're playing Agents, and Walter is playing the pseudo hero deck. It's not a true hero. It's more like a Neos Alias control type of build. So he is got Doom Cows, Fossil Dinos. And we drew Venus Birdman, which allows us to either go 8 plus Agachi or Trish. So, because of the set, we opted to go Trish. I think that was probably the correct choice in this one, even not knowing the hand. And we rip the Dark Hole with the Trish. Love to see it. So we put him halfway down early. He has Doomcal. Here we do Effect Veiler to get rid of the Doomcal because hopefully we can push for game. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to kill him through the Gores. We duality into not a way to kill him through the Gores. If I had been thinking, I maybe do Tribute Summon Christia here. But I went aggressive to push. He took 1,000. He took 16, and I'm just dumb. I put him at 2,700, and I just didn't attack with Trish. So big punt from me. Big punt from me. I wasn't really paying attention to the life points. Neither was he, because he should have gorsed after the 1,000. So both of us kind of missed playing, but definitely punished me because I could have gamed him. So now I have 3 fairies in grave. He clears both. What I should have done last turn after I misplayed is crash Trish into the Gores. Because then if he's using Rhoda to attack over a fairy with Alias, then he's only putting 1 in the grave, and then I have 4 for Christia. But instead, bad things happen. So here I'm planning on clearing both, right? Leviathan, crash the Trish into the Gores like I should have done last turn, crash that. And then I get Honested, and all I need is a monster for game, and he has it. So huge punt from me. It was very, very bad. Definitely should have won this game, but I did not, so joke's on me. I get to go first. Game 2, and we draw the Venus Birdman again, but I get Veilered. So I Birdman the Venus back, and then set Mirror Force, because my plan here is to Mirror Force probably no matter what, and then if he has like MST or something for the Mirror Force and he outs my monster, I want him to out the Birdman, not the Venus. So I want Venus next turn regardless. So I'm going to try to protect the Birdman, but if he had MST for the Mirror Force, I wanted him to attack over Birdman, not Venus. Because now I can Venus into the Shine Balls, and I have the same option again, Trish or Synchro 8 plus Gachi, and I opt for Stardust plus Gachi this time, because he doesn't have a set monster on fields, so Trish isn't as plus as it could have been. I should have just attacked first to do more damage. So yeah, I actually should have attacked first for multiple reasons, because if he has Gores, then in main phase 2 I can Scrap Dragon, because Scrap Dragon plus Gachi is very cool. Thankfully he did not have Gores, so I didn't get super punished that way, but I did a little bit less damage than I could have. And he takes the Gores here. D-Prison might have been a better option for the Stardust Dragon. But if he takes it, then he knows I'm playing around it, so maybe it's less good. But if he D-Prisons plus Doom Cow, Stardust can't get over the Doom Cow because of D-Prison, and Gachi's too low, so I don't know. I have Dust Shoot here. I hit the Fossil Dyna because I have Christia that I'm going to summon before I push for game. So Gores is never going to be live. Yeah, I'm leaving Gachi in attack. Because I want him to attack over to put the 4th fairy in grave. But unfortunately, he hits the Thunder King, so I can't summon Christia because he can Thunder King negate, and then I can't Stardust it because Thunder King's negating and destroying a card that's not technically on the field yet because it is negating the summon. And Stardust only protects something that would destroy a card on the field. How it's worded now. I actually didn't look into erratas. So in 2011, I'll have to do some research on this, but I know Stardust Dragon used to have an older wording, so maybe I could have Stardust the Thunder King. I'm not sure. Regardless, we just attack over to Thunder King, and then we special the Christia, add back the Venus. So we didn't game him this turn, but I've got a bottomless for the Warrior Lady that he drew to out the Christia, and that was game. Alright, so we took game 2 after punting game 1. Now we gotta hopefully steal game 3. But he draws 2 Floodgates with a Doom Cow. So it's a little tough. I set. I Dust Shoot the Fossil Dyna. So he's got 3 dead cards. Monster Reborn, Super Poly, and Hero Blast. So if I can play through his current 3 cards, I'm in a good spot because the rest of them aren't very good. He attacks a Sangan, gets mad that he has to Doom Cow it. I don't know what else I could have set here. So at the time, I didn't know that this was the macro set. So if he flips macro there, then he doesn't have to use the Doom Cow to negate the Sangan. But I don't know how many instances it's correct to preemptively flip macro there. Against he knows what I'm playing, so it's game 3. So maybe flipping macro there would have been correct, and then he keeps the Doom Cow. But I misclicked here, so I just normal summon Earth, and I get skill drained. Wow. I Monster Reborn the Sangan to try and go into Synchro plays and push for more damage, and he macros. So I sync anyway, just because under skill drain, this is a beater, and all of his monsters are 19. So we push for damage. We got some 24. He draws a dead card, but he doesn't think I'm killing him through the skill drain, which is fair. But I draw MST. So I MST the skill drain, so the tour guide can summon. I can overlay for Leviathan. And 25 plus 24 is 49, and I pushed for game. He just drew too many dead cards, and the Floodgates were good, but not good enough when I was able to out one of them and push for heavy damage. So we took that one with Agents. So we're not completely incompetent in 2011. We're just mostly incompetent in 2011. Yeah, so those are the two. Those are the 2 that we got for this week. Thanks for hanging out with our first episode of Time Wizard Tuesdays. And we will see you next week with some 2012. Some 2012 coming up.